Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. Today's video is going to be a video on how to incorporate the threading process into grooming your own eyebrows. So I've actually been getting my eyebrows threaded for the last 7 years or so. I was actually introduced to threading by a friend and absolutely loved it. I loved the shape that it gave my brows. That was like the biggest thing for me. Was wow, this process really gives you a bomb shape. So yeah, I had been going to the same threader for years and years, and then I moved to a different city and I've yet to find another brow threader that I feel comfortable with. Because if you've ever had a bad experience with a threader, a waxer, or a service of any kind, you know how hard it is to trust somebody else with that kind of stuff. It's taken me a little while. I'm still in the process of trying to find somebody new, but in the meantime, it's kind of forced me to hack together a way to groom my own eyebrows. So I'm going to share my process with you guys. There are a few things that you're going to need. The first, obviously, being some thread. This is just some inexpensive thread that I got from a sewing kit years ago. You can really use any kind of thread that you have. Also, you're going to want to have some wax on hand. That's what I use. Now, if you're not comfortable with wax, or if you just don't have wax available, then you can definitely skip that. You can just go straight on to the tweezers. Tweezers work just as fine. You'll also want to make sure that you have some small scissors on hand. These are great for trimming the brows, which is a very, very important step in grooming the brows. Also, you're going to want to make sure that you have some sort of spoolie or brush on hand. This is just a spoolie that comes on the end of an eyebrow pencil. You can also use a toothbrush, or you can use a small comb. I've also got this Benefit Brow pomade for filling in and styling the eyebrows, and I'm going to show you a quick little tutorial towards the end of this video on how I actually fill my brows in and get this look here. So definitely make sure you stick around for that. So let's get into this video and I'll share with you guys how I incorporate the threading process into grooming my own eyebrows. So as you can see, my left eyebrow has not been groomed. My right eyebrow I did off camera. I'm going to show you the process on the left eyebrow. So one very important step is to tie back your hair, because you definitely want it out of the way, especially if you're going to be using wax. The first step is to take a spoolie or a toothbrush to brush your brows into place. This will be very important in helping you determine how you want to shape the brows. I like to brush the hairs up so I get an idea of the natural shape of the brow. Now, taking a bit of thread, you're going to want to pull it pretty taut between your hands. And you're going to lay that thread along the border or the edge of the brow. So the goal with the thread is to use it almost like a ruler to create a straight or clean line to tweeze or wax along. So the best way to do this is to work on portions of the brow at a time. As you look at the brow, you see that it's not really a straight shape for the most part. The brow has an incline, an arch, a decline. So you want to make sure that you maneuver your thread to meet the shape of whatever part of the brow you're working on. Here I'm working on the tail end. Now I take a little bit of wax and I place the wax right along the area that I'm going to be waxing, so towards the tail end. I take my thread and I use it to kind of push some of the hair out of the way from the top, and then I slide it along that end, creating a super straight line. Now, any of the hair that is below that line, I kind of feed it into that wax. So I can connect the hairs with the wax, and that's going to help me be able to pull those hairs out and give me a straight, clean line. Now, just to make sure I get all the hairs, I go back with a pointed wax stick. You can also use tweezers or anything really. You can use a toothpick. Just go in there with something sharp and try to get every little hair to connect with that wax. I then pull off the wax and you can see that it gives a really nice straight edge. Now moving towards the inner part of the eyebrow, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to apply the wax just below where the hairs are. And then I'm going to use the thread to kind of lay along that edge to create a straight line. And I'm going to feed any of the hairs below that edge into that wax so that when I pull the wax, the hairs will come along with it. If you have questions or you're kind of worried about where exactly to place that thread or to create that line, honestly, the best way to do this and the easiest way to do this, especially if you're new to, any of this process, you want to make sure that you go along with whatever shape you already have, just above where your eyebrow shape ends or the edge of it. Try to stay very, very natural and use your eyebrow's natural shape to guide you along where you should be creating that edge or placing your straight thread. Once I've pulled off the wax, I definitely go back in with some tweezers to make sure to get those stray hairs or the hairs that are just a little too short to be picked up by the wax. If you're going to opt out of using wax and just stick with tweezers, you can still use this entire process. What you will need is some sort of concealer stick or a white or nude eyeliner, something that is close to your skin color. And you're going to use the same threading process, but instead of using the wax, you're going to take the liner and you're going to draw a border using that thread. And then you're going to tweeze along that border. So you're going to use the threading process to kind of create a straight edge or border as you're doing here. And once that border has been created, you're going to use the tweezers to remove the hair along that border instead of using the wax. I'm going to link a video right here of a brow tutorial that I did recently that includes the process that I just mentioned, using the concealer stick to be able to help you shape your eyebrows a little better once you're grooming them. So if you want to kind of get a visual of what I just explained, definitely check this video out to help you with that. Now moving on to another very important part of grooming the eyebrows, and that is, again, trimming the brows. This is a really great tip on how to keep those eyebrow hairs up in place while you're trying to trim them. Nothing is more frustrating than trying to trim those eyebrow hairs and them just continuously falling down. Take a little bit of soap, any kind of soap will work. Dampen your brows a little bit and then place a little bit of soap into your eyebrows. Lather those babies up and then use your spoolie to brush those eyebrow hairs up so that they're standing straight up and you know exactly where you need to trim. Once you've brushed those brows up, you're going to want to trim using the small scissors that I mentioned earlier. Now, when you're trimming the brows, make sure that you align the scissors alongside the brow's edge and not in towards the brow. Cutting into the brow will mess up the brow's shape. I'm going to repeat the same process with the top of the brow. Now, typically I don't do much with the top of the brow because I feel like this is an area where you can really mess up your brow shape. So I'm very careful with this. If you're a beginner or, you just don't feel as comfortable, I would just leave this part alone. The edge isn't as defined, and so it's easier to kind of mess up the shape. Now I'm going to move on to filling in my eyebrows. As I mentioned earlier, I have been loving the Benefit Ka-Brow pomade. It's a really nice pomade. I like that it's the perfect shade for me. I also like that it's long lasting. I love the little angle brush that it comes with. It's super easy to apply. I begin with the inner corner of the brow. I create or define the border of that inner brow. And then I just work my way towards the tail end, just filling in areas that are sparse, defining the edges and the borders of the brows, creating a bit of a fuller brow. Once I've shaded my brows in, I go back through them with a spoolie. This not only brushes the brow hairs in place, but it also breaks apart some of that pomade product so that your eyebrows don't look too harsh or too bold. Now that both eyebrows are done, I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to keep those eyebrow hairs in place even if you don't have eyebrow gel or clear mascara. This is a little tip that I've picked up throughout the years. If you want to make sure that your eyebrows stay in place all day long and you don't have any clear mascara on you or any kind of brow gel, you can absolutely use hairspray to lock them in place. So you just need a little bit of hairspray. I usually spray a tiny amount onto my fingers and then I dab the hairspray onto my eyebrows after I've already groomed them and shaded them in and they're ready to go. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up if you have. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button right here if you're not already subscribed. It's a great way for you to keep up with my videos as they come out. I typically make a video every week. Thanks again so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.